Network at vsin.com and SiriusXM Channel 204. Live from the VSIN studios, it's the one and only Brent Musburger.
Hey, welcome to Thursday, everybody. The start of Week 10 of the National Football League season. And a dandy in Pittsburgh, the Carolina Panthers, Vinny and Amal, visit the Pittsburgh Steelers. And there's got to be a lot of attention being paid to this game. How about the bettors, Vinny? Have the numbers moved on Carolina and Pittsburgh?
They have, Brent, and they've moved towards the Carolina Panthers, the visiting team, the underdogs, who opened as 4.5-point underdogs. Now the Steelers sitting at 3.5 here at the South Point. Money showing for the over from 50 up to 51. Good two-way action overall. I know Jimmy Vaccaro is going to join us, but certainly more play to the over. So both teams being parlayed to the over tonight, and I don't think that's a surprise. Looks like the weather's going to be good, Amal, and both of these teams can score.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think, though, defensively, I give the edge to the Panthers in this particular matchup. Brent, as well as Pittsburgh has been playing of late, I don't know if you look at their schedule and say they've really played many difficult teams. The two teams that I look at earlier this year, the Ravens taking care of them in Pittsburgh. They got the revenge last week. And then Kansas City really throttled them in that first half. You know, they beat up on the Browns, the Bengals, and the Ravens again. So I'm not necessarily ready to jump behind Pittsburgh in this one. I thought that number of 4.5, as Vinny alluded to earlier, was a very good number on Carolina. And we talked about this yesterday, a 6-2 team that's being completely overlooked.
You know, one of the things that's a surprise, yesterday we talked about what a great job Ron Rivera is doing. Isn't Norv Turner's the offensive coordinator now? And, you know, for years he was considered to be pretty one-dimensional and very not very flexible. I think he's done a pretty good job with this team. And given the fact, because this is certainly the most mobile quarterback I think that he's ever coached. What are your thoughts on that, Amal?
I agree with you completely. To me, Norv Turner is one of the great offensive minds of all time. You see it going back to his days in Dallas with Troy Aikman. Wherever he's gone, teams have had particular success offensively. You go back to the fact that he was in Minnesota a couple of years ago for 3 seasons. He did a very effective job there. With the Chargers, we saw how much of an impact he had on Phillip Rivers. I think this is a guy that's done a phenomenal job as an OC.
There's a set of power ratings of the gaming today that I pay a little bit of attention to. And they show Pittsburgh as a 5.3-point favorite in their power ratings over Carolina coming into this game. I thought the number was pretty good. I'm a little bit surprised that action has come in on Carolina. I'm looking at raw numbers, Amal and Vinny, on Ben Roethlisberger, okay? 16 touchdowns and 7 interceptions so far this year. And, of course, while we focus on Le'Veon Bell and the holdout, let us not forget how good James Conner has been this year. He's averaging 4.7 yards a rush. And basically what that means is if you give the ball to Conner on a first down, Roethlisberger is looking at 2nd down and 5, okay? That makes him absolutely lethal. And we all know that Le'Veon Bell, the holdout, is an outstanding receiver. But guess what? Who knew that Conner was as good? He's the 3rd leading receiver on the Steelers. He's caught 38 of the 50 passes thrown his way. He's averaging 10 yards a catch. So they really haven't missed Le'Veon Bell. And when you look at those weapons, again, Vinny, it goes back to my original point. I'm surprised. I guess that people have caught up with the fact that Carolina has been on a roll. Cam Newton plays well on the road, and here comes some money in that particular direction.
Yeah, well, and I'm glad you brought up the power rating. And everybody has different power ratings, right? So mine, I have the Steelers from a power rating perspective between 1.5 and 2. You add a couple points for home field. This is a pretty good home field advantage for the Steelers.
Yes, it
good
is.
Support. So that's how we got to the 4.5 opener. But I think what folks are realizing is that Carolina has been a surprise. They can score points. Their defense is pretty good too. So I think when you look at these two teams, folks are simply saying, you know what, both of these teams are good. I'm going to try to take the points in this one, and that's what they've done for sure.
I completely agree with Vinny. Brent, when I look at this matchup, to me it's pretty close. I thought it should have been somewhere between 3.5 the whole time. I'm a lot higher on Carolina than a lot of other people are. I think they're a little bit more balanced in their offensive attack, and I think defensively, I said all along, I think the Steelers offensively are a great team. But without Ryan Shazier, to me, they are not the same football team. And I don't think they've played over the last several weeks offenses that necessarily can expose that. But I think with Cam Newton, I think they'll be able to do that here tonight.
Yeah, and again, let me repeat because it bears repeating. Cam Newton has always been a good road quarterback. Okay, it's just one of the guys that you can count on. The other thing that might be at play here, Vinny and Amal, I was just thinking about it. This is AFC, NFC, okay, interconference, and there has to be a feeling, and I think with merit, that the NFC overall is superior to the AFC. Now, that doesn't specifically mean that Carolina is any better than the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I dare say some NFC money might be coming in here, Vinny, on Carolina.
You know, Brent, that's an interesting point. That's a good point. Let's look at the top 4 teams in the league, and I'm kicking around a prop here. So take the top 4 teams from a power rating standpoint: the Chiefs, the Rams, the Patriots, and the Saints. If you were to group them together and say, take that group to win the Super Bowl against the field, every other team, they're probably about a 5-1 favorite.
Right.
Okay, a -5 and plus, say +4 on the other side. Well, the NFC is probably a bit more wide open too. Then I think right. Even though there's the Saints and the Rams, you can make a case for, hey, the defending champs, the Eagles, right? And who else is going to be a surprise that comes along? So, but again, I think when you've got 2 quality teams, and let's face it, this is the best Thursday game we've had in over a month. There's value with the points, and the points are with Carolina.
Well,
and I think that's the reason for the move.
No question that's happening.
Yeah.
And Amal, to take a look at Cam Newton's stats, I gave Roethlisberger. Cam Newton is having quietly a very good year. 15 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. He has completed 177 of his passes out of 263. He's averaging, and this is a stat that coaches look at and gamblers should look at, average yards per pass attempt, not completion, attempt. And in that regard, Newton is up there at 7.2. Now, we talked about what Connor has met. Christian McCaffrey is simply one of the best dual weapons in the National Football League. He's rushed for 502 yards, averaging 4.6 yards a pop. I didn't realize how good he was going to be from scrimmage. It's catching the ball that I knew he could do because of his great work at Stanford on the Rose Bowl team of theirs. He's caught 49 of his 58 targets, 378 yards, averaging 7.7 yards a game. If there's any comparison between the 2 teams where I think the Steelers have an edge, it's in wide receiver. I think they're just a little bit deeper. McCaffrey is the second leading receiver behind Funches. Funches is number 1. He's averaging 12.4, which is very good for the Panthers, Amal.
I would agree with you when you look at Juju Smith-Schuster and, of course, Antonio Brown. But also keep in mind, Cam Newton has not had Greg Olsen all the time this year. Olsen is a huge edge in the red zone. And I think they do a good job, particularly in the run game, and that helps their passing game. If you look at, you have to factor in Cam Newton in the rushing game, Brent. He's averaging almost 4.7 yards per carry, over 300 yards this year. He's a very dangerous guy on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3 in those situations. I just still think that, I thought Vinny summarized it perfectly. It's not, we're saying that Carolina's better, and this isn't necessarily the best bet of the day. But when you look at this matchup, I think it's fairly even. But when you're getting almost 4 points, that's where I think a slight edge comes in with Carolina.
Yeah, and to your point, Amal, Carolina now 6-2, the Steelers 5-2-1. Both teams are 5-3 against the spread. Both teams are 5-3 to the over. You couldn't get a couple of teams. Now, I know they haven't played the same competition, but when you look at that, and the points for at home, just at home now, and then I'll get to the road, Carolina is averaging 31.6 points when they play in Charlotte. Guess what? The Steelers are averaging 31.2 in Pittsburgh, okay? Now, let's go to points on the road, because this is where we want to look at Carolina. They're dropping off to 20.7, okay, against a team that is allowing, the Steelers are allowing 25.8. So honestly, it's hard to separate these two teams, and the point spread might be the great separator, and the bettors know that.
And the great equalizer in our world, Brent. And you bring up an interesting. I'm glad you brought up the total because both teams were being parlayed to the total. Oftentimes we talk about key numbers to the point spread, particularly in the NFL, Brent. We talk about 3. Well, let's not overlook key numbers when it comes to totals. 51 is a key number in an NFL total. 27-24. That's what we're looking at here. Basically, that's why this total at 51. If it ticks over 51, which it may do, it'll be because of parlays by the general public. If it gets to 52, 52.5, you'll see buyback by professionals to the under. But that's another thing that we want to educate folks on, too. Key numbers in the point spread, but also key numbers in the total, Amal.
Amal, who do you like in the over-under?
In the NFL nowadays, I don't bet unders anymore. It's just too difficult to do that. I mean, the guy might sneeze on somebody. It might be an ejection and lead to a 15-yard penalty. So I'm always concerned it keeps drives alive. And here's the other thing, Brent, that comes into play nowadays with these kickers. You look at, for Carolina, I think it was a Gano who had the game-winning kick against the Giants.
Yes, he did.
I mean, he kicked that one basically from Raleigh-Durham, and he made it.
Yes,
and here's the reality now. Even though Heinz Field is arguably the toughest field to kick in the NFL, I think when these teams get inside the 40, Brent, coaches are more aggressive now, and also you have that opportunity for a field goal. So these totals for me have become a little bit more difficult in terms of playing unders. And with the way both offenses are, you could see this one fly over, but I'm going to stay away from this one.
All right, now the college season continues tonight. ESPN at 4:30 Pacific time, a little bit over an hour. ACC game in Raleigh, North Carolina. Wake Forest visits North Carolina State. Vinny, State has been a big favorite all week. Is that still the case?
Yes, it is, Brent. They were 17 on the opener and now sit as 19-point favorites here at the South Point. This total bet down from 69 to 67.5, but certainly the support for the Wolfpack here. 6-2 straight up, 4-3 to the number. But this is a pretty good. And Amal, this quarterback, the NC State quarterback, he may be the best quarterback in the ACC.
Yeah, Ryan Finley, you're absolutely right. When you look at it right now in the ACC, the biggest issue, Brent, is quarterback play. Hartman for Wake Forest, very good young freshman quarterback. He's got some growing pains, and we've seen it throughout the course of the season. They can score some points, but defensively, holy cow. NC State is going to be able to put up points. I'm not going to get involved in this game. To me, it's not enough with Wake Forest. I would rather it have been over 21. Total is a little bit high just based on the way NC State plays defense, though.
You would never know it, judging from the purple cap that I'm wearing today, but I am interested in a Big Ten game, 12:30 on Fox on Saturday. The mighty Wildcats of Northwestern will be down at Iowa, in Iowa City. Never an easy place to win. This is a big game in the Big Ten West. Right now the Cats lead it, but they're a pretty good road dog here. Double digits the last time I checked.
Brent, we don't have to win the game. We're getting a touchdown, a field goal, then one additional point. We'll take the 11. We'll see you at the winner's circle.
Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to hear from them all, Vinny.
Well, when you look at Northwestern, Brent, over the last couple of seasons, when they're a favorite, they've not been able to cash. But when they're getting points, that's where you've been made a return trip to the window. Right now here at the South Point, there are 11s out there, but 10.5 here at the tip of the strip, the total 44.
To Vinny's point, Brent, you look at their 3 toughest games this year, arguably. Michigan State on the road, they win. Michigan, they gave everything they could handle.
Yeah.
Northwestern needed a late Ian Book rushing touchdown. They were, I think, up by 3 at that point. That put them up 10. This was a tight game.
Okay. Before we go to commercial break, and well, man, you mentioned Ian Book. That Northwestern game took its toll on the Notre Dame quarterback. Rib injury, sidelined, will not play against Florida State. Now, ordinarily, for a bettor, that would be a huge piece of news that Wimbush, is that the young man's name?
Yes,
that
Brandon Wimbush.
Yep. Brandon Wimbush will be quarterbacking. However, this is a Florida State team that hasn't been able to stop anybody. For those of us who lived and have been around Tallahassee, it is hard for us to understand how the Seminoles have fallen as far as they have this year. But I did want to pass that along. Ian Book out as the starting quarterback for Notre Dame. Back with Mr. Vaccaro coming up live. vsin.com, station 204 on Sirius XM.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
This week, here's some of what you missed.
This is from Playboy. I think they're both. Playboy is when Tyson got knocked out by James Buster Douglas. So Playboy
Buster
got a hold of
Douglas,
me
yeah.
last year, and they had this wonderful picture of Douglas standing over top of Tyson. So they called me up. They did a story around it, and this is one of the things that I will always keep. Now, I also want to make it clear that Playgirl contacted me to be in their next centerfold issue also.
Is that the basketball picture?
It was a yin and a yang. Yeah, that was it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Part of the Cooper compensation complicates any trade for a car, because if you can get a first-round pick for Amari Cooper, you certainly aren't going to settle for just a first-round pick for Derek Carr. I'm thinking that if someone offers them a first and a fourth, the conditional fourth, which could elevate based on certain conditions, kind of like the Sam Bradford trade, maybe they have to seriously consider that. Don't forget, 2016, Derek Carr.
All right, let's review them. Preston and I, 3-on-3 challenge. 1.5 game lead for Preston headed into this weekend. He had the 3-0 this past week. I'm very chalky on the left. Michigan laying 10.5 against Penn State at home. Oregon laying 10 against UCLA up in Eugene. And Alabama laying 14.5 on the road at LSU. Preston a little more creative. He's taking Baylor in the points against Oklahoma State. That's 7.5 points.
Big move for Houston. We know about what this offense really is, right? It is Deshaun Watson finding guys downfield. You lose Fuller to a torn ACL, so this was a position of need. And again, this is a move that I like. And you only swap a 4th-round pick, and then you exchange 7th-rounders. I think this is a good addition for Houston Texans, which, by the way, I had no business at the beginning of the year still being alive at this Houston Texans ticket to win the AFC South. And now they're with the Jags and their struggles. Houston Texans right back in this thing, and now they get a quality wide receiver to replace another one.
Right back in it. They're the only team over 500.
Yep.
They're 5-3. Everybody else 3-4, 3-5, 3-5.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
Well, Amal, as we welcome in Jimmy Vaccaro, of course, this is teaser and super teaser day here at the South Point. Wow, Amal, we can get 17 with Northwestern on one card and 20 on the super teaser card. We need 4 there to pay.
That's all you need?
4.
And what does it even pay?
4 pays 4 to 2. We can double our $20 bill. Now, but hold it. If we win the teaser special, we get 5 to 1 on 5. Hey, but how about listen to this? I got the reverse teaser, 3 for 3, 25 to 1. I've already circled the Buccaneers minus 9.5 against that injury-riddled Redskins team.
It's not a bad shot with that offense.
Huh?
And how about Northwestern in this one? I think Northwestern has a chance to win this game.
Yeah, well, this is a pro.
Oh, it's only pro only?
Reverse
Okay.
teaser.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me throw a couple.
Oh,
others.
these guys are smart, Brent. They don't even do it in college.
Let me throw a couple of others out at you.
It's our first.
Let's. How about the Eagles laying 14.5 against the Cowboys?
It sounds easy.
How are you, Jimmy, my man? Are those the cards that beat you guys up last week? That reverse teaser deal?
Yeah, they got us on that one. Yeah.
How about this? 5 for 5, Amal, is 250 to 1.
Brent, here's the thing, though. You got to take the team that's like a 3-point dog that's going to win the game you believe is going to win the game.
Well, how about Cincinnati? Can they win the game?
Sure.
Well, they're minus 3.5 on this one. The Saints
Easy
are
money.
minus 10.5.
Easy money.
Well,
How do you ever cash one of these? These are so hard. Jimmy, what's going on out there at the book? You got a big Thursday night game.
I feel a little bit better now that you cleared everything away.
I have. I just put this away.
People should see him like house cleaning back there. I made myself king in 2 things today. I want you to know I'm the king. The king is I've been twixting out. If you blow the election, you got to clean up your mess with all the signs outside.
Yeah, I liked it. I heard Mitch and Pauly, and I chuckled because I thought your Twixt was great. If you lose an election, you go clean everybody's sign up.
There you go.
That should be part of it.
That's a great idea.
It's like picking
Isn't that
up
fun?
attorney's
It was
fees
good.
if you lose the case.
I'd like to send them all to an island, all 535 of them. But
You need
it's
a
just
big
me.
island.
Yeah.
Not
And
that big. Trust me, the way they fight, there'll only be one person standing.
Not me. I want the feds to make it illegal to bet on them. That's
And,
what I want, okay?
I suspended a guy from going to the spa for 18 months a little while ago.
Did you?
He left his slippers in the middle of the aisle where you walk down to the lounge. He just
left
kicked
his
them
slippers.
off, and you let him there.
You can't do that in a spa.
18 months I give him.
18 months. Okay.
Yeah.
Now hold on. I just have to. I must say I have a comment on that. That's a strong because you know what, Jimmy never. You can win $1 million in a book. You can be, as long as you're nice, but you don't violate the code in the spa.
Yeah, well, how about the people who take off their shoes and socks in an airplane and put their feet?
Oh my God!
Stop.
Oh, dude,
Bad.
are you kidding? I want to ask them, how are you actually even qualified to be on this plane?
Good. Yeah.
I mean, these people
amazing.
walk in the restroom. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Wait a minute. Well, let me jump in here. Even though I don't fly on airplanes, see, I guarantee you and Vincenz were back by the wings, like way in the back. My cousin here, he ain't nowhere near the back of the plane. Correct or incorrect?
Well, Southwest, I fly.
Oh, come on, please. Can you think? Do you ever sit next to a guy? You say, "You got to get this guy the hell out of here." You know who I am.
No. I've got a lot of good friends on Southwest. I meet the Raider fans. We fly in and out. We have great conversations, Jimmy.
Great conversation. Amal's right. Matter of fact, give him a parachute and push him out right where you're at.
Jimmy, that's why I sit in the exit row. Quick out.
That's right, kiddo.
It is.
Oh, plus, you need a leg room.
Exactly. Love the leg room on Southwest.
By the way, I give you credit. You're a legend, so you get some status with Southwest. Let me tell you something. That open seating, I'm the last guy to board almost 99% of flights because we're all arriving at the same time.
You get the middle.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to sit there and fight. I always wind up with the two people that are pushing maximum density
Reach
anyway.
in your wallet and buy Business Select.
On South, I didn't know Southwest has it. I'm going to have to check on that.
Business Select.
They have it, yeah.
What is that?
I got to get some status with that.
What are you talking about?
6'2", yeah.
Loosen it up.
Listen, I paid for the upgrade
In fact,
on
I'll give you a
American.
way that you can save money.
Go ahead.
Some of us buy it beforehand because we think it's going to be gone.
Yes.
But they will, whatever they've got left, they will sell at less than the premium that you pay to get it originally. You go right up and you say, I want one of those A1 through 15.
American does that on first class. You can get the upgrade last minute. You can pay for the upgrade. It's not as much as if you buy it in advance. I know what you're talking about. I just don't. Not a big fan of the
You know
open
what,
seating.
my young friend? Who on this panel has flown in the private jet?
Oh boy.
But that technically.
Someone's quiet over here. Who was in Mr. Gaughan's plane? 18 seats and from here to the end of the casino, how big it is. Who flew in that plane?
You did.
No, I never did.
That's right. You didn't go. I have.
You have.
I went down to
Right.
Daytona with.
You take your
God's
shoes off.
family. No. No. Of course not. I never take my shoes off on any airplane.
I'm just asking.
I just don't do that.
Yeah, but
I
I
think
get-
it's rude.
Did you have a pretty good meal on the flight with Mr. Gaughan? Because Michael's restaurant brings the
It
food
caters
over.
it.
They
Catered it.
cater
That
the
was
flight.
a special card. It catered it. Okay.
Right.
It was awesome.
Get scores on there.
I don't listen. If they can afford the gas bill on there, they're not worried about the price at Michael's.
There you go.
No, exactly. Exactly. And so
You're living the dream. Betting teasers, flying private. What else is there, kid?
there's nothing. I mean, we got and football starts tonight. Jimmy, now tell me now, growing up, Jimmy, did you bet regularly on the Steelers? Did you ignore them? Did you start to book bets on them? Give me an insight from a young man growing up in Pennsylvania, okay? In Western Pennsylvania, you got the Steelers, of course.
Well, I can answer this real quick. I had the Raiders with the Immaculate Reception. I had to leave town because I had Erwin Urick $1,800 after that
You
game.
had the Raiders.
Yeah, I had the Raiders. I listened to it on the radio because it wasn't on local because it wasn't a sellout.
So I guess you don't think Franco Harris.
I could care less about Franco Harris.
You don't think
He did. The ball did touch the ground. Where's Frenchy Fuqua when I need him?
Yeah,
I mean, just
So you and John Madden agree
so I
with
can't
that, right?
stand the Steelers unless we need them. You know, the Pan.
You're a businessman
Yeah,
now.
exactly right. Yeah, I say I bet more against because even way back when as a kid, the local guys that were booking, they shaded the Steelers a little higher than they were. So here with me, big time Jimmy betting 77-70, trying to steal plus 3.5. And the game was 27-0 at the halftime. So I learned real quick back there.
Brent, he's probably the only person from that area that's not a Myron Cope fan.
No, Myron's okay.
Okay.
Loved
Myron's okay.
Right?
Loved Myron.
I know. I was giving Jimmy a hard time. I said he's the only one who's probably not a fan. Created the terrible towel.
He did.
Absolutely.
He did. He's the one.
And Bob Prince, the babushkas.
The babush. Yes.
Yeah.
Did
Prince-
Myron Cope get royalties for that?
Did he get what?
Did he get royalties?
No, you got a free towel.
Oh, that's so wrong.
He's no Pat Riley.
No.
You should have his picture on
That's
there.
right. 3-peat.
3-peat. Riles.
Right?
Yeah.
He
Who
should
did
have
I
his
see?
picture on there.
There's a new word out. Who have the Warriors won 2 in a row or 3 in a row?
2 of 3.
3 of 4.
3 of
actually.
4. 3 of
Yeah.
4.
Three or four. But so they haven't won 3 in a row.
No.
So when I was coming through the Oakland airport, I've got to grab it. Because you have to pay Riley to use 3-peat. But there was something in the airport with regard to the Warriors. It might have been French for 3-peat. Okay, there was some. I think it was a foreign language. What would it be? Amal?
Trois. I'm forgetting what repeat is. Repite. Can you repeat? Yeah. Trois repite.
Maybe it was that. Okay, because Riley doesn't have the.
Hey, don't give Riles any more money. Just call it 3 in a row.
That's true.
And
We're going for 3 in a row. Huh?
Full disclosures, my brother Sonny had the Pirates in 1960. I think he got 4-1, won like $250 when we beat the Yankees.
Right.
And Chauncey grabbed $50 right off the top and was out the door.
Out the door when you got it off the
Out the door.
250.
It's 15. Out the door
Okay,
with the
now,
50
all right.
my kick.
All right, Bill Mazeroski hit the winning home run.
Yeah.
And who was the pitcher who threw it for the Yankees?
Dell or Tracy
ding,
in
ding, ding, ding,
Rob
ding,
Terry?
ding. Yes.
Rob Terry.
Okay.
Yes. It was
Oh,
Mr.
man.
I'm
Who was-
almost sure.
Who was
Somebody will remind me if I'm wrong, but I
who
think
was
it was
playing
Ralph
left
Terry.
field, looking up at the ball go over the
Yoger. Yeah.
If
number
Tony
8.
Kubek doesn't get hurt, they don't win the World Series.
Who?
Tony Kubek.
Oh, in the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Ball jumped off.
I
the
kicked
seam.
the ball when he was fielding it.
$250 Sonny won on that
Yeah,
series.
that's big money.
That was a great.
1960.
I can still see Mazeroski rounding third, and fans had come on the field and escorted him to home plate. Okay, they were running down with him on that winning run. As I recall, I could be wrong, but the games in New York were very tight, low scoring, and the games in Pittsburgh were.
I think you're right. I think it was like 1-0. It was like 10-9 every game in Pittsburgh.
I think if you look at the composite box score, I could be wrong on this, but I think it was 7 games. I think the Yankees actually outscored
I think you're right.
the Pirates in this. I think the games the Yankees won, they won pretty handily. Does that sound right, Jimmy? And
all right, help me out. All right,
Sure.
people,
Brian
hold
Rogers.
on out there.
Go ahead.
Burgess was the catcher.
Yeah, Smokey Burgess. Whoa.
Dick Stewart was the first, I think. I'm not 100% sure.
That one.
First. Mazeroski.
Maz was second.
Grote.
Grote was a shortstop.
Hoke.
Hoke was he was a third baseman.
The dog Skins was in the left field. Skinner was in left field. Burden
was in
Clemente.
center.
and Roberto Clemente.
And Roberto
No,
Clemente.
Clemente was might not have been Clemente. Might have been the year before him.
Ooh.
You have it.
Ron said he got all of them right.
You got him. There you
There
go.
we are.
It's impressive.
Well done.
58 years ago.
That's right. 58 years ago. And I
Roberto
still
Clemente.
understood, but I can still see it took 25 minutes to get the final call from upstairs and touchdown. I said, first of all, they should have tackled him on the 5-yard line. How they missed him or didn't push him out of bounds is incredible.
We're back to the
I'm still hot
immaculate
about that.
reception. That was okay.
He had to leave
We're off
town.
the series, right?
He had to leave town.
But one thing I want to say, like Brian Rogers, our great producer, he's a huge Raiders fan. We talk about gambling, and I love that aspect of it. But I tell you one thing I wish. As much as I love Ohio State, you know I like green more than I do scarlet and gray.
Right.
I love the people in town that are like diehards with their team.
Yeah.
Because for me, I don't have any team. Like, listen, I root for Ohio State, but winning in 14 didn't mean as much as it did when they beat Miami in January of 03. I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm set for the rest of my life. They won a national championship. But I love the passion that people have about their teams. And I don't think I'll ever be able to get it back, but I wish I had that about a team.
If you were in Trafford right now, and the game starts in like an hour and a half, everyone's at the Polish Hall or the American Legion. Nobody's on the street in Trafford. 0. That's how goofy my cousins are.
Okay, my man. And good luck to your cousins tonight. And beware those slippers when you go in to get your next massage, Mr. Vaccaro. And then we're going to go downtown to the D right after a flatter update. VSiN.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Your top 5 in college better than perceived: Oklahoma, Ole Miss. Interesting. Maryland, Purdue, and Louisiana Lafayette.
One of the teams that stood out for me there, though, this year is Ole Miss. Ole Miss has a very potent offense, and on my effective scale, they're actually averaging 44.3 points per game. The last 4 games, I believe they're 5-3 now, and their last 4 games are teams you could consider either a toss-up or games they should win. I think this is a team that could go on a run in November.
What do you guys do there to make sure that that's really what he wants? Like the Purdue buying the hook makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I mean, I happened to be walking through the back room right when he came up to the counter. I was talking to the guys, and I saw the bet, and I just said to myself, you know what, I'm going to go out there, I'll say hi to him and just make sure that's what he wants to do, just to cover every base. And he told me that's what he wanted to do. I probably would have done something similar if he tried to buy the half point on a pick-em game. I mean, I would just take 30 seconds to just walk out there and verify that's what the guy wants. The last thing you want is a guy making a huge bet coming back to you later saying this is not what I wanted.
So you're on a bit of a roll here calling these. What are you looking at on the schedule this week from an ATS perspective?
Houston's one of the hottest teams in the National Football League. Very explosive offense with a few extra days to prepare for this trip to Denver. Denver just traded away one of their more productive players. I don't see any reason why Houston shouldn't be favored in a game against Denver. I don't care where it's being played. I like the Texans.
I think we need to take a moment of silence. Thank you. You guys had 2 losing weekends in a row. Feel bad for you.
The books did? We actually did okay, John, because we posted the baseball futures on Sunday.
Okay.
So we won a lot on the Red Sox, so like in the bottom line, it looks okay. But the NFL didn't go well. You know, the Patriots covered last night.
Yes, they did.
I don't know if you caught that. That was not good for the books.
16 unanswered.
A ball was caught yesterday, that's for sure.
16 unanswered points in the final 17 minutes. The Bills were covering for 54 minutes.
That was a tough one, man.
I'm Ron Flatter with your VCN Action Update. It opened 7. Now the spread is all the way down to 3.5 for the Thursday night football game in Pittsburgh, where the Steelers are still favored to beat the Panthers. But with buyback, it's Carolina that has generated the steam. 58% of the tickets written here in Nevada on tonight's game are backing the Panthers. In some cases, you're getting favorable juice to lay the points. The total is 51. And by the way, Pittsburgh wide receiver Antonio Brown was pulled over early today on suspicion of driving 100 miles an hour on city streets in Pittsburgh. The Steelers say they're on this. ESPN says that it's a rib injury that will keep Notre Dame quarterback Ian Book from playing at home Saturday night against Florida State. That means Brandon Wimbush returns to the starting lineup for the third-ranked Irish. They remain 16.5-point favorites against FSU. Book is expected to be back a week from Saturday against Syracuse. Tonight in the ACC, North Carolina State laying 19, hosting Wake Forest. The total 67.5. No Russell Westbrook tonight. He's still out with a sprained ankle. Oklahoma City catching 4.5 at home against Houston. Boston coach Brad Stevens says Gordon Hayward will play both tonight at Phoenix and tomorrow night at Utah against his old team. Unusual that Hayward plays both ends of a back-to-back. Celtics are 9.5-point favorites tonight against the Suns. No Draymond Green tonight, but the Warriors are still 5.5-point favorites at home against Milwaukee. And illness makes Tobias Harris questionable for the Clippers, who are 5.5-point underdogs at Portland. Skipping ahead now all the way up to hockey. And in that, biggest favorite tonight is Boston, $2.60 in a half hour, hosting Vancouver. Take advantage of VSiN's midseason special. Get our total access to our live and archive video, plus Point Spread Weekly and our special betting guides. It costs only $99 for the rest of the season through the Super Bowl. Sign up at vsin.com/subscribe. More with Brent Musburger now, here on VSiN.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
All right, let's right away go downtown to the D and one of the best bars in all of Las Vegas. That's the Long Bar, where we find our buddies there. Oh, my goodness, look how sharp Derek Stevens is looking today, alongside Mike Baum. Hi, guys. How you doing?
I said I would go down in a burning building with Derek Stevens. Never more true than today, as this suit, I think, is flame retardant.
Derek, don't let him pick on you like that, man. You're looking sharp down there at the Lombard.
I'm good. I'm trying to bring up my Intercon cherry here, so I'm fine. Thank you.
Now, we got big game. It'll be on the monitors there. The Panthers and the Steelers. What are we thinking about tonight's NFL opener on Week 10?
I actually like the over tonight.
Come on, Mike. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm serious. I mean, I've watched this. I bet the Panthers the last 2 weeks. And I really like what Norv Turner's done with Cam, you know. They're being creative in the run game, and they're keeping him from throwing the ball deep downfield, which isn't his strength. But their offense has been almost unstoppable since they got down when that fourth quarter started against Philly, and they were down 17-0. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. Then they lit up a very, very respectable Baltimore defense, and then just ran all over. I mean, they were up 35-7 or 35-14 at half against Tampa Bay. I think there's fireworks tonight. I think Brent Musburger actually played one of the best games of his career at Baltimore last week. He made a lot of great decisions and the way he managed that game, and I think this number flies over.
Mike, what about the first half? I'm going to make sure I got my connection right. You did say the under. This is a first for you.
I know you've been traveling. I know the jet lag, and then when the planes land in New Mexico and all that. But no, I said over. I like over 51. I like over 25.5.
All right, over in both. Outstanding. All right, let me ask you this. Now, tonight, the Vegas Golden Knights in a rematch against Ottawa. These two teams played about a week and a half ago here in Las Vegas. What are you guys thinking about the Knights tonight?
I like Ottawa here tonight. I think Ottawa's played very well. They should have beat Toronto. They should have beat Tampa Bay on Sunday. They had that game. They were up with 20 seconds left and had the puck going across blue line with a 2-on-1 at an empty net, and got checked from behind, and then Tampa scored with like 24 seconds left and won in overtime. Then they won, but they've played very well the last 4 or 5 games, and the Knights are in a tough road trip again. And I like Ottawa here. I think Ottawa. I would take Ottawa at even a lesser price. I think this is a great price on Ottawa tonight.
Eric Holla's injury an impact for you?
It's all an impact.
Yeah.
The gelling of the team. They looked a little bit worn down and lifeless opening the trip in Toronto the other night. I just think this is a great spot for the Senators.
Brent, I want you to make note of this. I'm going to go to the college football games this week in Ohio State and Michigan State, and Michigan and Rutgers. Mike, I like Michigan State, and Derek, I like Michigan, despite the fact that it's 39 to cover. Remember, they beat Rutgers a few years ago, 78-0.
Absolutely. I remember that game vividly. And, that was a game when everything came together for Michigan, and there was a little bad blood going into it. If you remember, Jim Harbaugh put a couple of football camps on in New Jersey, and I think New Jersey, generally the Rutgers fans, the coaches, they started chirping a little bit, and it was the first year when New Jersey's Mr. Football, Rashad Gary, was a freshman for the Wolverines, and Harbaugh came on and put the wood down, and he made a statement. I think he actually also made a statement when he accepted the ability to give the commencement speech at Paramus Catholic, and that just upset everybody in New Jersey, because I think everybody in New Jersey thought Harbaugh was really trying to take over their turf, and he was, and he did.
Mike, what do you think about the Michigan State-Ohio State matchup on Saturday? I lean towards the Spartans. Ohio State's defense is in complete disarray.
People keep coming up to me saying they're surprised that Ohio State isn't a touchdown favorite. I said I'm surprised Ohio State isn't catching points here.
I agree.
The lines makers have not found a line they can cover. They've tried, but since they've played Rutgers, I don't know that they've covered a game. Nebraska could have beaten them last week.
Yep.
I mean, I like Michigan State outright here.
Outright. Plus $1.60.
Outright, plus $1.60.
Hey, Derek, can anybody come within 3 touchdowns of Alabama?
Oh, Alabama, this is amazing. I don't see it right now. I've become an Alabama fan, listening to yourself and listening to Mike here throughout the season, and this team is just unbelievable. I think I've said a couple times on these shows that it's fun watching all these teams creep up into the playoff rankings. But you know, who can beat Alabama? I mean, I'd be interested right now. You know, if the playoffs started today, what could Michigan's defense do against Alabama? It'd be interesting to watch, but I don't know how Alabama can stop.
Very good point. And of course, Mike, Notre Dame has to change quarterbacks, go back to Wimbush because of an injury. This is not a very good Florida State team. What's your feeling about how that will impact the Irish this weekend in that game at South Bend? Florida State, Notre Dame.
I went from backing the Irish to passing on this game. I don't like it 16.5 with Wimbush. I don't know what we're going to get out of Wimbush, but they certainly won't be as dynamic on offense. And I know Florida State's been bad, but they started out really horribly. They're starting to score a few more points here, but I took a pass on this just because of the quarterback injury. And by the way, in regards to Alabama, Brent,
yes,
I like Mississippi State this week, and I mentioned it on Monday. 26 is a lot of points when you're playing against a defense that's as good as Mississippi State. And that kid, Fitzgerald, the quarterback, he can run the ball. He's a strong kid. He can throw the ball at time. I think they keep it within 4 touchdowns, so I like the 26.
I sort of lean to the under because of what you're saying, too, this week. Mississippi State, they've got some defensive play. We shall see about that. Hey, guys, I know that you pay attention to the Canadian Football League, and we've got a couple of semifinals coming up here in the next couple of weeks. The BC Lions and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Saskatchewan Roughriders. Well, what's your feeling about those two big games up in the CFL?
Well, you know, we're getting ready here. This is opening weekend of these playoffs here, and you know, Mike and I are hosting a Grey Cup watch party here in a few weeks, so we're getting ready for our Canadian football. A couple things in these semifinals. The Eastern Conference semifinal has the BC Lions going to Hamilton. This is the crossover game. The BC Lions on the road are 2-7 this year, and they made the playoffs. This is a dome team going into Tim Hortons Stadium. And the game's basically a pick-em. It's a one-point game. The way I'm looking at it is you gotta like Hamilton because this is dome team. It's you know, if I translated this to English, Mike, this would be like the St. Louis Rams, the old greatest show on turf, going to play on a grass field. Going to be a tough game for BC to go all the way to the East Coast. And then in the Western Conference semifinal, you've got Winnipeg at Saskatchewan Roughriders. Winnipeg has not won a game there in Regina in 67 years. It's only a three-point game. 67 years since they've gone up to Regina. So it should be a great matchup between these longtime Prairie rivals. There's going to be a lot of points here. Winnipeg's the highest scoring team in the league. There's not going to be a lot of 2-and-outs on Sunday afternoon, Mike.
I don't know a lot about the CFL, but what East Coast is Hamilton on?
Derek, my guy, you mentioned Tim Horton and a chain of restaurants. Was Tim Horton at one time an outstanding hockey player? Is that where that chain came from? Every time I look at that, I've been wanting to talk to somebody and I said, did he play with the Red Wings? You know, I've always wondered that. Well, where did that chain, how did it get started?
Hey, Brent, I grew up in Detroit. I'm only half a Canadian. I need a guy like Banks or somebody over here. But yeah, it's the number one food franchise in Canada, and he's a Canadian fellow that I do believe was a hockey player.
Yeah, that's what I always thought. I know it's a huge chain when you mentioned, and that's the name of the stadium, right, in Hamilton? Did I hear you right on that?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. So listening to Derek, I'm taking Hamilton Amal. And I can't fight 67 years of history. I've got to have Hamilton and Saskatchewan. What do you think?
Sure.
That's my man.
What an endorsement.
Mike. That's my man Amal, you know? That's how much he pays no attention to the Canadian Football League like I do. I'm on Derek's side all the way, man. Montana guy, that's one of our borders, just like it's one of the borders of Michigan. Hey, guys, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the action at the Long Bar at the D, guys.
Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
All right. When we come back, John the Barber, I know he's got a winner. VSiN.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
This is always worth repeating. You get what you paid for. For centuries, that was the case if you wanted to experience great wine, otherwise out of reach. That is until 17 years ago when Cameron Hughes came on the scene. Cameron Hughes believes everyone should have access to a great bottle of wine at a great price. He does this by buying wine from high-end wineries from around the world, bottling it under his own label, and then selling it direct to you. He cuts out the middlemen. He can chop 60 to 70% off what you would pay for the same wine at retail. Only now it is delivered straight to your door. We're talking award-winning, highly rated wines. With Cameron Hughes wine, it's all what's inside the bottle. High quality, great tasting wine at prices everyone can afford. He calls this the wineocracy and stands behind every bottle he sells. For a limited time, receive free shipping and a free Cameron Hughes corkscrew. Go to chwine.com/Brent or text my name, Brent, to 511-511. Text Brent, 511-511. Now, don't pay more for high-quality wines. Join the wineocracy. Go to CHWine for Cameron Hughes, chwine.com/Brent. Standard text rates may apply.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
This is from Playboy. I think they're both. Playboy is when Tyson got knocked out by James Buster Douglas. So Playboy
Buster
got a hold
Douglas,
of me
yeah.
last year, and they had this wonderful picture of Douglas standing over top of Tyson. So they called me up. They did a story around it, and this is one of the things that I will always keep. Now, I also want to make it clear that Playgirl contacted me to be in their next centerfold issue also.
Is that the basketball picture?
It was a yin and a yang. Yeah, that was it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Part of the Cooper compensation complicates any trade for a car. Because if you can get a first-round pick for Amari Cooper, you certainly aren't going to settle for just a first-round pick for Derek Carr. I'm thinking that if someone offers them a first and a fourth, the conditional fourth, which could elevate based on certain conditions, kind of like the Sam Bradford trade, maybe they have to seriously consider that. Don't forget, 2016, Derek Carr.
All right, let's review them. Preston and I, 3-on-3 challenge. 1.5 game lead for Preston headed into this weekend. He had the 3-0 this past week. I'm very chalky on the left. Michigan laying 10.5 against Penn State at home. Oregon laying 10 against UCLA up in Eugene. And Alabama laying 14.5 on the road at LSU. Preston a little more creative. He's taking Baylor in the points against Oklahoma State. That's 7.5 points.
Big move for Houston. We know about what this offense really is, right? It is Deshaun Watson finding guys downfield. You lose Fuller to a torn ACL, so this was a position of need. And I do, again, this is a move that I like. And you only swap a fourth-round pick, and then you exchange seventh-rounders. I think this is a good addition for Houston Texans, which, by the way, I had no business at the beginning of the year still being alive with this Houston Texans ticket to win the AFC South. And now they're with the Jags and their struggles. Houston Texans right back in this thing, and now they get a quality wide receiver to replace another one.
Right back in it. They're the only team over 500.
Yep.
They're 5-3. Everybody else 3-4, 3-5, 3-5.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
We're talking hockey. John the Barber has joined us, but first, here is the story on Tim Horton. I knew my man Amal Shah would get full details. Tell me about that huge restaurant chain in Canada.
Well, first of all, it was started in 1964 by Tim Horton, Miles Tim Horton, who's one of the 100 greatest players of all time. So he's not a guy who just happened to be a player. I mean, this is a big-time player. Played 24 years in the National Hockey League, Toronto, Buffalo Sabres, among other teams. Unfortunately, he died in a one-car accident in 1974, and his partner, Mike Joyce at the time, bought out the shares from his family for $1 million at the time. They had about 40 franchises of the restaurant. And now, I mean, they're all over Canada, huge, huge conglomerate. And Tim Horton's eldest daughter ended up marrying Mike Joyce's son.
How about that?
Yeah.
Now, when you look at games, especially out of Canada, and you see all the signage on the boards,
Yep.
guys,
Yes, sir. Yep.
you inevitably are going to see the name Tim Horton
No
is
question.
up there because of that huge change. Thanks, Amal. That's terrific. John, he played for Buffalo. Tim Horton did, among other teams. So let's go right now to the Sabres and the Montreal. First of all, what's the price tonight up in Montreal on that game and the over-under number?
The surprising Montreal Canadiens again. Canadiens, $1.35, Brent, holding steady. The total on this one, 5.5. And the Canadiens get a little better than 2-1 if you think they can win this game by 2 or more goals.
And, John, your feeling about the over 5.5 in the Sabres and Canadiens?
I love the over on this game. Buffalo's been off a while. They haven't played. They're pretty rested up. This is a rivalry with Montreal. Any game between Toronto and Montreal with Buffalo, usually 85% goes over.
Hey, John, when you lived in Buffalo, would you frequently go up to Canada? I know it's fairly close.
I played hockey. And we used to go to Canada to buy all our hockey equipment, and then stop at the opera.
Really?
The opera. Have a few brews from Canada because their beer's a little stronger.
The beer
there.
is higher alcohol.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The O'Keefe Ale, guys. O'Keefe Ale.
O'Keefe Ale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, was Labatt's a higher alcohol too in the time? And Molson?
I think all the Canadian were brewed there. Yeah.
I'm moving.
I'm moving.
Okay.
Great.
All right. So John's in on the over on the Sabres and the Canadiens. Last night, did you hit any overs? I know you.
I had one under on a game, and that went under, but the over that I had was the Ducks and didn't go over.
That was with the Flames.
Should have gone over.
Yeah.
It had a couple shots at going over on empty netters. They didn't get it.
All right. So the other one, John, I know you were one of the first to call my attention to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I know you like the Lightning.
I do.
They're hosting the Islanders. What's your feeling, Vinny? What are the numbers on that game for our driving audience here?
Big number here, Brent. From 210, the Lightning from 210 to now 220. The total 6. Was over, now 6 flat, and the Lightning plus 130 if you give up a puck and a half.
All right, and your feeling here, John?
I love the over on this game. Islanders do score a lot of goals, and Tampa does also. I'll put a little bit with one ticket with Tampa to win, but I'm not surprised that the Islanders can sneak up on them because they're really hot right
Playing
now.
good.
Yeah, very good.
Surprisingly well.
Very good.
Brent, if you like a value play, the New York Islanders will play here.
Yeah.
This is a team, I mean, really, they're plus 11 in goal differential. Tampa sits at plus 15. Not that much separating these two teams. 3 losses for the Lightning, 4 for the Islanders. I think the value here is on New York.
Okay,
Exactly.
So the Islanders are in Florida. Now, John, we get to the Vegas Golden Knights. They stay on the road. Vinny, the latest on the Golden Knights and Ottawa.
Golden Knights now $1.60, Brent. That's up from $1.50. So money showing for the Golden Knights here, 5.5. The over is favored at minus 125, so minus a quarter. And the Knights minus a puck and a half, plus 175.
And John?
Ottawa's been a hot team. They've been scoring goals like crazy. They're playing good hockey. I see this game. The Knights could win it, but I won't take a side on it. But I will take the over on this game.
You know, Brent, when I look at this matchup, something's got to give. Golden Knights last in goals scored, last in power play. On the flip side of that, Senators have been very effective, but their PK has been terrible. So if Vegas has some opportunities on the penalty on the power play, they've got to capitalize against this weak Senators defense.
Vinny, was it Haula who was taken off on a stretcher?
Haula came. He had to be carted off last night on a hit, and it was his knee. I believe it was his knee that buckled.
Out.
So
but aren't they getting somebody back tonight?
Well, Pacioretty came back.
Yes.
He played last game,
right,
so he came back, and he is able to come back. And of course, Schmidt is he can't come back until the 21st game, but he is back practicing. He was over in Sweden. He had the suspension for a banned substance, but yeah, Haula is out for the Golden Knights.
How serious is the knee injury? That didn't look good on TV.
No,
that's
it didn't.
all.
When you get carted off, I mean, at first too, the hit when he get in, I couldn't tell. I thought it might have been I thought it might have been a head injury. The way he went down and the way he hit the boards. But this morning I read that it was his knee that buckled, and that's the concern. Now he's still with the team,
right?
But he's been ruled out. Certainly, I know for tonight and probably the rest of the road.
I watched the replay a couple times to see if I could see what had happened, but you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, John, early on in the season, Biggest surprise? What team has surprised you the most?
Islanders. Islanders is a big, huge surprise. Didn't expect them after losing their best player, John Tavares.
Yeah.
And they're exciting to watch. Very exciting.
Most disappointing team?
Well, San Jose Sharks. For a while there, they were picked to go all the way, and they lost quite a few of their games. And they seem like they're coming back a little stronger now, but it's hard to predict them.
All right. Now, we've got San Jose does have a game tonight.
Yes.
We've talked about the Islanders. Let's go to that game. 2, 4, 6, 5 on the rotation. Vinny, what are the Sharks and the Dallas Stars tonight?
Sharks road favorites, Brent, from $1.20 now $1.25, and Dallas coming home after a 6-game road trip. 5.5 for the total, and the Sharks minus a .5 plus 220.
Brent, you don't just roll into Dallas and roll out with the W.
Yeah. No,
I actually like the Sharks here on this patch. Vinny's right. It was 6 straight on the road. I think it's a tough spot. Here's the other problem in Dallas right now. Stars are getting no fan support.
Okay. All right. So, John, we got the big rodeo week. The PBR down at T-Mobile. Those Cowboys, they get haircuts?
They come in. No, they come in to get shaves.
They like
I've had 8 or 9 the last 2 days in a row. I've been slammed with these guys.
Yeah, I haven't seen many bearded Cowboys walking through the casino.
They're here. Trust me, they're here.
All right, John. Good luck tonight, my friend.
Thank you.
Always great checking up John the Barber here at the South Point at the tip of the strip. You got to make an appointment. Every bettor I know wants him to cut your hair or give you a shave. Back live, vsin.com, Sirius XM 204.
Thanks.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com. As Brent says, cash and tickets is what it's all about. And that's what every issue of Point Spread Weekly is all about. VSiN wants to make you a better handicapper, not just this week, but for months and years to come. Now's the time to subscribe. Get Point Spread Weekly and access to everything we do for just $99 through the Super Bowl. That includes our 24/7 live video stream, replays of our shows, our special guides, and online exclusives. Here's what you'll find in this week's 119-page issue of Point Spread Weekly, our largest yet. College basketball open this week. We have Matt Human's Top 25, Bruce Marshall's Under-the-Radar Teams, and Steve Mackina's Strength Ratings, plus team-by-team reports and picks. To help you handicap the big divisional battles in the second half of the NFL season, Steve analyzes betting systems for teams that have rematches in the same year. We also have games to watch from Matt, power ratings from Steve, and picks for pro and college football from VSiN's experts. Plus handicapping articles and information on the NBA, NHL, NASCAR, CFL, golf, and MMA. Go to vsin.com/subscribe for the package that makes sense for you, including our special offer, $99 through the Super Bowl. That includes Point Spread Weekly, as well as full access to our live video and replays. That's vsin.com/subscribe.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Your top 5 in college better than perceived: Oklahoma, Ole Miss, interesting, Maryland, Purdue, and Louisiana Lafayette.
One of the teams that stood out for me there, though, is here's Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a very potent offense, and on my effective scale, they're actually averaging 44.3 points per game. The last 4 games, I believe they're 5-3 now, and their last 4 games are teams you could consider either a toss-up or games they should win. I think this is a team that could go on a run in November.
What do you guys do there to make sure that that's really what he wants? Like the Purdue buying the hook makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I mean, I happened to be walking through the back room right when he came up to the counter. I was talking to the guys, and I saw the bet, and I just said to myself, you know what, I'm going to go out there, I'll say hi to him and just make sure that's what he wants to do, just to cover every base. And he told me that's what he wanted to do. I probably would have done something similar if he tried to buy the half point on a pick'em game. I mean, I would just take 30 seconds to just walk out there and verify that's what the guy wants. The last thing you want is a guy making a huge bet coming back to you later saying this is not what I wanted.
So you're on a bit of a roll here calling these. What are you looking at on the schedule this week from an ATS perspective?
Houston's one of the hottest teams in the National Football League. Very explosive offense with a few extra days to prepare for this trip to Denver. Denver just traded away one of their more productive players. I don't see any reason why Houston shouldn't be favored in a game against Denver. I don't care where it's being played. I like the Texans.
I think we need to take a moment of silence. Thank you. You guys had 2 losing weekends in a row. Feel bad for you.
The books did? We actually did okay, John, because we posted the baseball futures on Sunday.
Okay.
So we won a lot on the Red Sox, so like in the bottom line, it looks okay. But the NFL didn't go well. The Patriots covered last night.
Yes, they did.
I don't know if you caught